Today, when we visit a home in Egypt where someone has passed away, we will find the house filled with people offering condolences to the family. There are trays of sweets, tea, soft drinks and food. And maybe if you are lucky, you may also get to taste what Egyptians call kawa, meaning coffee. And if you do, you'll notice it is extremely bitter because it contains no sugar. Well, that is because the tradition requires that any coffee served during funerals or mourning periods must be unsweetened. It is normal to see many people turn away from the tray after taking just one sip. But why? What is the reason behind this painful tradition? Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to travel back to Old Cairo about 500 years ago, to the era of the last Egyptian dynasty, the Mamluks, and the start of the Ottomans' rule over Egypt. This is the time when coffee first came to Egypt. According to many historians, coffee came to Egypt via Yemen through Sufi Muslim missionaries. These missionaries used coffee to stay awake during their prayers at night. But I believe that is just a myth. In fact, coffee most likely came to Egypt via trade, through Yemenis and other Arab merchants traveling to Cairo. In the old days, drinking alcohol was forbidden in Islam, so these merchants had to find an alternative way to keep themselves busy. And that is when they discovered coffee. When these merchants started serving coffee in the streets of Cairo, people liked it very much. But this drink was very expensive because it was imported. Only the rich could afford to buy it. Later on, local farmers started to grow coffee plants in the Egyptian countryside, and the price became lower. So slowly everyone could afford to buy coffee. At that time, Cairo was one of the biggest cities in the world, containing many different cultures, ethnicities, and religions. People from all over the world came to Cairo to do business, like Europeans, Turks, Indians, and Persians. The most famous places in Cairo were the mosques and the bazaars. Most foreign visitors coming to Cairo would go to the mosques to pray or take a rest. But once they stepped into the mosques, they couldn't leave until the prayer was over. Otherwise, they would be committing a sin. So during this time, the mosque became a place where people from different cultures could interact with each other. For example, travelers from Europe would meet merchants from India and China, which was rare in those days. That's why every mosque had a special room where non-Muslims could leave their shoes and wash their feet before praying. In fact, mosques were considered at that time as a kind of community service where people could take a shower and use the toilets. But in the midst of this great diversity, religious scholars noticed a growing division between Muslims and non-Muslims. Non-Muslims were enjoying coffee together in the mosques without Muslims. This annoyed the religious leaders, especially since Muslims could not drink alcohol. They saw coffee as a replacement for alcohol, and they were worried that people were getting addicted to it. Because of that, in 1511, the Grand Mufti of Egypt, Ahmad al-Sabah, banned drinking coffee. His reasoning was that coffee prevented worship and made the drinker neglect his prayers. It was also rumored that the smell of coffee was similar to the smell of hashish, a type of marijuana. So the Mufti decided to ban it. That was the first time the drink faced trouble in Egypt. Then in 1533, the matter got worse. Another Mufti, named Ibrahim al-Laythi, repeated the same ban. He said that coffee excited the body and increased sexual desire, which was a dangerous thing at that time. This time, however, people were not happy to accept the ban. Coffee had become an integral part of Egyptian society. People drank it everywhere. Coffee houses became places for discussion and debate. In those houses, people would talk about anything they wanted, including religion and politics. In fact, many people think that coffee houses were the first places where freedom of speech existed in the Arab world. The main sellers of coffee were Yemenis. They were called al-Wajia. This group was very powerful and influential in Cairo. Every day they sold thousands of cups of coffee and made lots of money. So when the second ban on coffee was announced, the coffee sellers refused to stop selling coffee. Instead, they went to the streets and protested against the decision. They were very angry and kept protesting for many weeks. At that time, Cairo witnessed unprecedented scenes. People were divided between the supporters of coffee and the opponents. Clashes happened everywhere, and the situation became out of control. Many coffee sellers felt that the only way to end this was to go to Mecca and ask the Caliph for help. So they sent an envoy to Mecca in 1534 to complain about the Mufti's decision. But the answer they received was surprising. The Caliph agreed with the Mufti and told them to stop drinking coffee. However, The supporters of coffee did not give up. After receiving the news, a woman climbed on top of a minaret and shouted, "Oh, people, come to my house to drink coffee." People heard her and rushed to her home. In a few hours, the house was full of people drinking coffee and celebrating. But soon rumors spread that the woman was arrested and put in prison. People were afraid and stopped drinking coffee for a while. But when they realized that the rumor was not true, they started to drink coffee again. After this incident, the situation became too chaotic. Cairo needed someone to restore order. So the Ottoman Sultan in Istanbul sent his vizier, Haji Halil Pasha, to investigate what was happening in Egypt. After he arrived, he summoned all the scholars, muftis, and leaders of the coffee sellers to discuss the problem. He listened to both sides and asked them to give him some time to make a decision. But while he was thinking about the problem, someone offered him a cup of coffee. He took the cup and drank it, but it was too bitter and he did not like it. So he called the owner and asked him why he didn't add sugar to the coffee. The owner replied, "This is the traditional way we serve coffee during funerals." Then the vizier understood that coffee was important for Egyptians. If they could not have alcoholic drinks, they needed another drink to replace it. So in the end, he decided to lift the ban on coffee and allow Egyptians to drink it. He also ordered that no one could prohibit others from drinking coffee in the future. But he added that those who wanted to fast or pray should not be bothered while doing so. And that's how coffee became an official drink in Egypt. Some say that the vizier wanted to end this crisis as soon as possible, and he didn't care what people thought. Others say he did this because he actually enjoyed drinking coffee. But whatever the reason, his decision ended the crisis. After that, coffee remained an integral part of Egyptian culture. People started growing coffee plants in Egypt itself. So instead of importing coffee, Egypt became one of the biggest exporters of coffee. Until today, Egyptians continue to serve coffee without sugar during funerals. This tradition reminds us of how coffee is intertwined with our lives. A simple drink that brings people together in good times and comforts them in bad times. While sipping this bitter coffee, we remember those we lost, those who gave their lives for this drink, and the journey of coffee from Yemen to Egypt. The next time you attend a funeral in Egypt and taste this bitter coffee, remember, each sip tells a story of our history. It is a story that connects the past with the present and reminds us that even in the face of grief, life goes on. Thank you for watching this episode. See you next time.